What's going on, guys? This is Crozen and welcome to the Strength, Luck, and Hollow Bleed build. I said I was going right back to a bleed build. This time we're focusing more on strength. So our main weapon that we're going to be using is the Hollow Spiked Mace. And in fact, I kind of built this whole bleed build around the Hollow Spiked Mace. But as long as you get off that initial R1 stun lock and then go right into the combo as you see there, you're almost guaranteed a bleed effect every time as long as you hit on all of those combo shots. But there's different ways to do that. You don't have to go into that combo. You can initially hit your enemy once and then go into the R1 stun lock and then the combo. But I will show you guys how to do that in a second as we go further on in this video. But it's a lot of fun to use this build, and as you see here, I got an initial hit on this enemy, and then I went straight into the R1 stun lock and then the combo as I said, and I got the bleed. But unfortunately this guy didn't die since he had a massive amount of HP. So I got a little reckless here and I went into my secondary weapon, which was the Hollow Reinforced Club. And luckily the speed on that was just enough to get me by before I died. But for this build, you want to start out with either the Warrior or the Herald class. I like to go with the Warrior. The Warrior is better than the Knight here simply because we're not going to be leveling up intelligence, and Knight has 1 extra intelligence, but we are going to be leveling up every other stat. So Warrior or Herald is the way you want to start out with this build, just like in our last bleed build. But I'll be right back, guys, and I will show you how this build looks like in game, and I will show you how to get off this stun lock, so that way you're almost guaranteed a bleed on the Hollow Spiked Mace. And I think you guys will like this build, so I'll be right back in a second. Alright, so here we are in the stat menu, and we have 43 Vigor, 14 Attunement, 40 Endurance, 20 Vitality, 40 Strength, 13 Dex in order to use the Hollow Spiked Mace. We're going to have 8 Intelligence if you went with a Warrior or Herald class, so that means you're going to have 1 extra point than you see here, which I would probably just say to stack that into Vigor anyways. You're going to have 15 Faith and also 40 Luck with this build. I initially only leveled Luck to 30, and the Hollow weapons are giving me a +5 in each hand. So as far as what stats you want to prioritize while you are leveling, what I kind of did was I stacked Vigor and I stacked a lot of Strength and also Endurance, because we're going to be using the Hollow Spiked Mace, which you can get really early in the game from farming those fat witch guys. I don't know what you call those guys, but you can basically farm them from those guys that you can find at Undead Settlement. So that's kind of early into the game. So you're basically going to have that weapon early, so it's going to scale a lot with Strength. So that's why I kind of stacked Strength early with this one. And once I got my hollowing up to 15 from the Dark Sigils, then I kind of went with stacking Luck up to 30 and then focusing on getting my hollow stuff and focusing more on that route. So for our main weapons, like I said, we're going to be using the Hollow Spiked Mace and the Hollow Reinforced Club. We're also going to be using the Hollow Kestis and the Sunlight Talisman in order to get off our Tears of Denial, which is why we went with 15 Faith. And also, we are going to be using the Alva Helm, the Alva Armor, the Alva Gauntlets, and the Old Sorcerer Boots. You can basically go with anything here. You don't have to use this as long as you stay below the 70% weight ratio. Use whatever you like here. And also for our rings, we're going to be using the same rings that we used in our Dex Bleed build, which is basically the Chloranthy ring, the Ring of Steel Protection, the Ring of Favor, and the Prisoner's Chain, which is why I have a +5 in Vigor, Endurance, and Vitality. So basically I only leveled those up to 38, 35, and I kept Vitality at 15. So, and then that's where I got the +5. But I mainly wanted to talk about how you want to get off the bleed with the Hollow Spiked Mace, since this is a bleed build and that's what your main focus is whenever you go into combat. But it's a little trickier. You can't really just swing this regularly and expect to get off the bleed. You have to do a combo with this weapon, which I will kind of show you how that works. But the first thing that you want to do is make sure that you apply the Cartus Rouge before you go into combat. So basically before you fight a boss or before you face someone in PvP, I would definitely recommend that you go ahead and buff up that weapon with the Cartus Rouge. And then from there, go into two-hand mode, and what you want to do is you want to try to stun lock your enemy first. And basically whenever you hit just the regular R1 attack, that normally stun locks basically everyone in PvP. So once you get them stun locked, that's when you want to go into this combo where you just do that, which basically all that is you hit the R1, which is the initial stun lock, then you hit L2, which does the weapon art spin, So, and then lastly you hit R2, which does a combo after the L2. So basically you're hitting R1, L2, and then right into R2. And that will basically I actually did an extra swing there, but that'll basically always get bleed off if you hit your enemy with all of those attacks. So as long as you get them stun locked first, it's really easy to just go into there and basically get them. I don't know why my character is doing 2 swings, but it's really easy to get. It's just you got to practice getting that initial first stun lock, since you're not always going to get that right away in the beginning of a fight. So what I like to do sometimes is basically just do like the weapon art to start the match, and as long as I hit the enemy at least once with that, then as long as I go into this stun lock combo, even if I don't hit all of those, I'm still going to probably get the bleed effect off, just because I got that initial hit earlier on in the fight. So that's kind of how you want to mess around with that. It takes a little bit of practice to get used to it, since you kind of got to counter your enemy a little bit. You can't go all out and crazy in a fight, because that's just going to get you countered. But that's basically it. So if you guys enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments as well. And I will see you guys in the next video. And also recommend me different types of builds that you would like to see. And I will see you guys later. Peace.